Welcome, I'm Maya Chowdhry, and I'm your guide through this video series on digital participatory theatre. In this fourth chapter, we will be exploring the types of production methods for different digital platforms and how these methods affect the content and style of digital participatory theatre and the levels of participation possible. Some of the digital techniques we've explored in this series on digital participatory theatre so far include a collaborative video poem, a visual spoken word album, a hybrid online game with interaction via a video conference, a hybrid theatre piece with a transmedia story, and a digitally driven sensory theatre piece using remote actors and digital props via haptics. We have seen that all these methods have different modes of participation for participants and audience. So a big consideration when designing a digital participation project is what level and type of participation is required and which methods are available to your participants. When working with a group or community, assess the digital devices and platforms readily available and begin with these. Your group may only have access to phones and may have limited Wi-Fi, for example. Consider the platforms both suitable for the group, the intended audience, and the project overall. Familiarity of the digital platform is an important consideration. Does the group have access to a device, a laptop or tablet? Do they have Wi-Fi or data to access the platform, for example, YouTube? Is your project focused on an issue in your community that needs addressing urgently? For example, you could use WhatsApp to easily, quickly engage a group and even distribute your digital performance this way. So this comes down to the needs of the group you're working with, their skill with digital technology and the timeline of the project, the budget, accessibility and inclusion. There are a wide range of digital tools suitable for producing a digital participatory performance, such as video conferencing platforms, social media and video streaming like YouTube. It's also important to consider if everyone has to be accessing the same digital platform at the same time. For example, synchronous, like on a video call. Or can some elements of the project be done asynchronously? For example, when the group is not together. An example of this could be group members making their own video segment and uploading it to a remote drive, such as Dropbox. In Ethical People Movement, I chose a range of media platforms to communicate sections of the transmedia story, both for their distinct qualities and also so that I could target the audience. Media included a website, Twitter and YouTube. Using a variety of platforms that the story was told through meant that some audience members would get a more complete story, and for some it would be more fragmented. As a creator of interactive experiences, you allow the audience agency to experience in whatever way is appropriate to them. Some audiences will access all the platforms and digest all the content. Some will maybe watch the campaign video on YouTube, and some will only experience the live performance. Let's take a look at some digital production tools. I've grouped them into tools that work for different activities or stages in the participation process. Digital collaboration. Many communities and groups do not already exist online, in a Facebook group, for instance. And although many groups have gone online during COVID-19, there are barriers to participation, such as access to devices, phones, Wi-Fi, and digital skills. If your group or community do not already exist online, there are a variety of tools you can use to begin to develop the digital participation on your theatre project. Which tools to choose depend on the type of group that you're working with. When beginning your project, you could meet your group digitally via platforms that allow interactivity and digital proximity, such as video conferencing or Facebook Messenger. Also think about access and inclusion with your digital tools. For example, when working with young people on the autistic spectrum who are non-verbal, digital props and sensor boards could be more appropriate. Digital interactivity involves tools that enable participants to interact in real time. These include video conferencing software and social media platforms. Particularly in the case of video, they offer participants a sense of digital proximity. That is, you feel like you're in the same geographical location and time, even though you're not. Some of the more popular ones with plans that include free access are Discord, which is a gaming platform where you can interact using video, audio and text. Zoom, a video conferencing platform where you can see, hear and chat to participants. Skype, which is a service similar to Zoom that enables people to make and receive free voice and video calls over the internet using a computer, web browser or a mobile phone. Jitsi, a free web-based video conferencing platform that doesn't require you to download any software. You can also use that on your phone. WhatsApp, which is a messaging app that lets users text, chat and share media, including voice messages and video, with individuals or groups. It's also important to consider which of these platforms are currently popular and with us permanently. YouTube, for example. And also how tools like Zoom, which previously was only used for businesses, have evolved during COVID-19 to be popular. You may want to collaborate on ideas together, and there are a variety of tools such as online mind mapping platforms, such as the online graphics platform Canva. There are also text-based online platforms that allow for digital co-drafting. These include Etherpad, which is a way for groups to all work together on documents like a script, and each participant's text is a different colour to allow their distinct voice to be present. A free example of this is RisePad. After you've produced your digital content using video, audio, text, photography, etc., you may want to collaborate with your participants to revise and rework the material. There are a variety of digital platforms available to do this. For example, F-Track is a way for participants to edit a video together. One group member needs to have video editing software and then makes a timeline of the video visible to the participants. And each participant can comment at a particular time point with suggestions for edits or segments that are important or content that needs to be added, for example. I hope that this exploration of the types of production methods for different digital platforms and how these methods affect the content and style of the digital participatory theatre piece and the level of participation possible have given you some ideas for your own projects. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video on digital participation and distribution methods. I'm Maya Chowdhry, a theatre maker and poet. My work explores areas of social justice such as climate and food justice, and I extensively use digital participatory theatre process as they are an empowering and mutually beneficial way to create activist theatre. This case study video focuses on Ethical People Movement, a transmedia story which is part of Continent Chop Chop, a participatory theatre performance by virtual migrants. Through exploring this work, we will examine a range of different production methods that can be used for digital participatory theatre. A transmedia story is a story told through a variety of media, which is often participatory and interacts with an audience in different ways. Virtual Migrants are a collective of artists using a variety of art forms exploring race, migration and global justice. And Continent Chop Chop was a story told through poetry, music and digital media, connecting legacies of inequality to climate change. I chose transmedia storytelling as a digital participatory method to communicate the message of the piece, White Saviour Complex, because it allowed a story to be told in many different ways. It didn't have to be linear, and as each part of the story could adapt to that form, it could tell the story in different ways for different audiences. Part of the message of EPM was also about fake news and the sensational reporting of migrant and refugee stories. Using social media as both the production method for the piece and the means by which to distribute it allowed me to play with the form and question it at the same time. We will look at each element of the narrative and discuss why I chose that digital process and how I went about creating the digital elements of the piece. As part of Continent Chop Chop, we ran workshops with groups that faced the challenges we were exploring in the piece. One issue groups such as refugee groups face is white saviour complex. That is, people, particularly in campaigns, always wanting to rescue them, as opposed to enabling members of the group to have their own voice, raise their own concerns and be in their power. An example of this is Do They Know It's Christmas, a charity song that was used to raise money for a famine in Africa, which showed African people as victims and needing saving. From this, the starting point for the transmedia production was to create a campaign video. After creating a fictional character, I wrote the script and produced a campaign video for Ethical People Movement. The style mimicked campaign videos of this nature, but I made sure that there were some details that seemed strange, perhaps slightly out of place. This was a strategy to provoke an audience to question what they were seeing and hearing, test it against their own ideas and thoughts around climate change and refugees. For example, in the campaign video, there's a slow zoom out on Christopher Wilder holding a picture of a dog. The photograph is a stock photo. There's something not quite right about the composition of the photo. It's very glossy and not like your ordinary pet photograph. And this is a hint to the audience to question if the story is actually true. This is a common strategy used in transmedia storytelling, often known as faction. That is, a blend of fact and fiction. I wanted to make sure that the style and the story in the video seemed real, but that some elements were slightly out of place. You can watch the full video and see if you can spot these. The link is in the comments below this video. The campaign video was posted to YouTube, but also placed as part of the Continent Chop Chop performance and woven into the story of the live performance. Before the performance, it was an unlisted video on YouTube, meaning it could be embedded into the EPM website but not found generally on YouTube. This is because we didn't want our audience to discover it before the live performance. To make the campaign appeal real, we needed some other elements that you would naturally find as part of a campaign. For example, some merchandise, a petition and a banner. Following through on the idea of faction, the petition was actually a real petition calling for the government to consider an alternative to austerity. We sent this off after each performance. So the petition added authenticity to the piece. Other elements of the production included a music track for the campaign video. This needed to be in the style of a campaign song, the words, melody and singing style that would tear on the heartstrings of an audience. One of our collective members composed a song which referenced a charity song both in lyrics and style of music. We commissioned a singer who could replicate the type of voice and vocals used. The song was uploaded to Bandcamp, a music platform, complete with a portrait of a fictional singer, again adding authenticity to the piece and putting the song in a place where it could be discovered by any audience during Continent Chop Chop.
Dear world, won't you listen to what I have to say? 'Cause there's people.
The organisation behind EPM needed to have a website. Using the voice of the fictional character, Christopher Wilder, I wrote the text for the website that mirrored the ideas in the campaign video. During the live performance, when the audience weren't sure if what happened in the live performance was real, we had an argument, playing ourselves as members of Virtual Migrants Collective, about sponsorship and why we were playing a video from our sponsor's EPM that didn't align with our values just to get funding for our show. This was a factional element of the piece and resulted in the audience getting out their phones and Googling Ethical People Movement. I also created a social media presence for EPM. In addition to Bandcamp and YouTube, I created a Twitter account for EPM, followed relevant organisations such as the United Nations, and some of which followed EPM back and retweeted the content. The style and content of the tweets reflected the values of EPM and added to the faction of the story. A non-digital element present in the venue of the Continent Chop Chop show was a large banner for EPM, and I was also wearing a campaign badge with an EPM logo on it. This was created by a member of Virtual Migrants who studied the logos of similar campaigns. It was quite bland but evocative, and it echoed the fiction of the story created. Standing beside the banner as a member of the VM collective, I enacted a version of Invisible Theatre, answering the audience's questions about EPM while not revealing the faction of the transmedia story. This was further echoed through the live show with the argument between the members of VM. Finally, after the show, there was a discussion, and the audience talked amongst themselves as well as with us, debating sponsorship, fake news, and even the ethics of some of the elements of the transmedia storytelling. So for me, this was my intended aim for the project, a range of participation modes, some more active than others, and a range of ways that the audience could engage with the story.